Thank you, Louise.
Okay, so thanks, Juliet, for having me today as your guest speaker. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of bprolls Group. So in today's presentation, I'll include a little history in case you're not familiar with the business, what we do, who we work with, working through COVID and how that's impacted our business, and our plans for growth going forward into next year. So we've actually been established since 1966. We're one of the largest privately owned businesses of our kind in the UK. We're still family owned, with Brian and Sanchita Rolls are still on the board, and David Rolls has been the MD for 29 years. So it's quite unusual that we're still kind of that set up after 50 years of trading. But one of the things that David says, and we kind of use here as our kind of mission statement, is that how we're always endeavouring to be at the forefront of the rapidly changing repair industry. Obviously, technology is always changing. There's always new things to learn and training. And it's by doing that that, that's kept us at the front of what we do, and that helps us to continue to grow from strength to strength. So a brief history there, as you can hopefully you can see that. It's maybe a bit small. But from 1966, Brian started painting trucks in a workshop in his garden with his wife doing his admin, common setup. And then that grew sort of into the 70s to needing to rent a unit, to then buying a unit, and then importing what were the first low bake ovens in the UK for body painting for vehicles. And they then continued to acquire various other units over the years. David took over as the MD in 1992 there. And our most recent acquisition was in 2018, when we bought the 5th unit in a row here on West Portway. So over that time, the business has diversified from just doing truck bodies to car bodies, to then doing the graphics that you see on the side of lorries and things. And then in 2018, we opened the automotive, which is the service centre. So what do we do? One, we do accident repairs. So all aspects of mechanical and car body repairs, that comes through insurance claims or private work, walk-in customers wanting sort of bumper repairs, smart repairs, alloy wheels, etc. 2, we do commercial paint and body, so HGV tractor units, trailer repairs, all the big kind of lorries you see hurtling up and down the motorway. Whenever you see one, the A303, A34, M3 had a big smash, that would generally come into us as one of the largest kind of companies of our kind in the region, and they get all fixed up, painted up, livery, etc., put back on and back out on the road. Thirdly, we do the servicing in the MOT. So we aim to provide a main dealer equivalent service centre. So rather than going off to Audi or Mercedes, we try and sort of strive to deliver the same kind of level of quality and service, but at a more pocket-friendly price. And under that umbrella, we also have branched out into doing fleet servicing and maintenance. I'll come on to that a little bit more, but that's basically anyone with sort of 4 or 5 vehicles upwards, business, company cars, courier delivery vans, right up to supermarket home delivery vehicles. And fourthly, we do livery graphics. So any kind of cut vinyl, printed graphics, the full vehicle wraps that you see, we do all of that in-house. It's designed, printed, finished and applied all in our studio here in Andover and beyond. I'll come to. So the kind of clients that we work with, they range from small, medium-sized businesses right through to multinational brands and public sector. One day we'll be working on an Asda van, the next day we might have a fire engine from Hampshire Fire and Rescue, or an ambulance from South Central. So lots of big names coming through our doors. And I think, the names of the companies that we work with kind of speaks volumes. We've got a long history of working with the likes of Tesco, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, Riverford, you know, these companies all trust and rely on us to keep their vehicles on the road. So we're based up here in the Westport Way in Andover. We've been on this site since 1980. And as I said earlier, we acquired the 5th building here in 2018. So you can see on the right-hand side here, we've got sort of each unit is dedicated to a specific part of the business, with Unit 5 being the newest. That's sort of like our flagship customer welcome area, reception, and our biggest kind of vehicle workshop there. Outside of Andover, we then have national coverage as well. Sorry, I'll skip forward to that one. We've got a depot in Newport in South Wales that's been there since 2001. And then we've got 2 satellite graphics fittings teams located in-house. Paneltex and Solomon are 2 of the largest kind of bodybuilders of specialist vehicles, such as, you know, refrigerated vans and home delivery vehicles. So we've got actually 2 teams located in-house there to kind of reduce the kind of production time, basically. So as soon as those vehicles come off the production line, we can get them graphicked up and they're back out, you know, they're on the road really quickly, rather than waiting for them to come here or to get sites going out to the customer. They're done sort of in-house, which was to meet the client demand as well. And then we do have teams of mobile graphic fitting guys as well that do work all over the UK. And then we also have service technicians, which I'll come on to shortly as well. Just skip that back there to our vision and values. So as a long-standing business, you know, we kind of strive on having these vision and values to kind of keep our clients supported and to appeal to new clients as well. We try and follow these vision and values at every step of the way. So people are so important to us. We've got about 125 staff currently, and it's, you know, the people, we have a lot of productives, what we call productives here, so that, you know, there's staff in the workshop, you know, they need to be on the tools, they need to be fully trained, they need to be following all the right guidance. So the investing in people and encouraging and you know, sharing knowledge is really important to us. So there are kind of 4 vision and value points there. So COVID-19, how did that affect our business in 2020? Well, suddenly, of course, like many others, we needed staff to work from home. And it's fair to say we weren't especially prepared. Our IT and telephone infrastructure were a little bit lacking. So we learnt a fast lesson there of suddenly having to get people ready to access servers from remote locations and forwarding voicemails and phone lines, etc. So that was a real kind of wake-up call for us. We experienced a reduced throughput in what we call the retail side of business. So much like the high streets, you know, our footfall essentially was down. So with the general customers coming through the door, obviously people weren't traveling so much. So, you know, people's cars weren't having so many accidents. People weren't needing, you know, weren't having so much wear and tear on their vehicles, weren't really needing the servicing or the tyres in the service centre side of business. But what we did see was an increased demand for the light commercial maintenance. So the supermarket home delivery, couriers and the emergency services, obviously they were all, you know, the kind of backbone of the country, keeping everything moving, keeping the supply chain going. So there was a definite increase for demand in that respect. So there's sort of a little graph here, just to kind of show. The red is the fleet servicing, so the maintenance of, like I've just said, couriers, home delivery. So we saw, you know, that kind of spiked and then it's continued to kind of rise, which that kind of market is growing, has been growing anyhow. But COVID really impacted that in a big way at the beginning. You know, suddenly people were cramming for home delivery slots, and you know, I can't remember who, I think it was Tesco put something like 300 extra vehicles out on the road, and so, you know, that side of things went through the roof for us, really. by contrast, you can see this sort of dark blue line here, car accident repair. It didn't bottom out, but so this is basically working at 100%, you know, what we would call our normal 100% capacity. And then that really took a decline into sort of, you know, 50%, and then it started to climb up again now, but it's still, you know, it's still not up where it normally would be, and obviously with lots of people still working from home. And then you can see commercial repairs have gone up, and then retail servicing it slowed down a lot, and that's just starting to climb. And now what we're seeing, where people's MOTs were postponed, they were able to postpone MOTs, we're starting now. We're not taking any bookings until the end of November, because we're just so busy on that front, and we're trying to recruit more staff at the moment. We just can't accommodate the demand. So there's real opportunity there, but we almost can't get people through the door quick enough in terms of the staffing. But we're working on that. So, you know, there's been some struggles, but on the whole, the fact that we've got such a diverse company has enabled us to continue virtually unscathed, because where one department's gone quieter, we've been able to shift those staff members across into different departments and make use of them there. We have made use of the furlough scheme. I've actually been on furlough for about 6 months. I've just recently come back to being full-time again, and that's been a great help, obviously, to the business. But we've had to adapt to the demand. But that's given us opportunity for growth as well. And we had kind of plans in the pipeline that we were kind of umming and ahhing about, you know, where things were going, and, you know, looking at property and how we can grow. And actually what's happened over the last 6 months has kind of sealed the deal and shown us that the opportunities are there, and our kind of MD and the board have gone for it. And that brings me on to the next slide of our business growth. So the first thing that we've seen growing is our team of mobile technicians. So we service our clients' vehicles on site, or the technicians go out and problem solve diagnostics, do diagnostics on vehicles with troubles. They may have to bring them into our workshop, but on the whole, they try and deal with customer vehicles on site where they can. And that team has grown actually over in the last, it's probably more really the last 12 months, but COVID has helped it in the last couple of months, really kind of, you know, we've taken on more people, but that's grown basically from last year, beginning of last year, 2 people to now, last week, we now have 6 people working with us Andover in the south. Again, the same, we have a team of mobile techs in Newport, and that team's gone this year from 1 to 3 technicians. We actually have a new site opening next year in Hull, which they will hit the ground running with 2 mobile technicians. So that site is specifically in response to demand. We know there's a gap in the market up in the north for what we do. We've got clients on our existing kind of contracts that want extra support in that region. So it makes perfect sense for us to kind of branch out up there. As far away as it is, my poor boss is having to travel up there 2 days a week for the next however many months until it's up and running. But yeah, that's going to be a really exciting new part of the business. So to give you a kind of scale there of the mobile coverage, so we started off with 1 guy in 2018, and then quickly added another one, and then they've kind of, you know, looked after most of Hampshire and edging into the other counties, and then this year we've grown. Basically now our area coverage is that kind of centre south region, and then from Newport they cover the south Wales, and then in the Bristol kind of region as well. And then you'll see here for 2021 you've got Hull up there on the top right in the grey. And then the other grey areas are where we hope to expand that mobile team, and then, you know, extend our coverage to that whole kind of southern coastline, and then connect that team up together with a new department. So Hull is opening we're aiming for the end of November, but I think that's going to push forward into January. There's a lot to do up there. But that's basically going to be home to a new graphics and fitting workshop. There's going to be a light commercial body shop oven up there, and a service centre as well. And as I said before, the tech team. So at the moment, we've got these two sites, Paneltex and Solomon's, that we've basically outgrown. So we started looking for another premises, and then that kind of evolved into there being this need to have a whole, whole big setup there encompassing, those key areas of what we do up north. So to manage the mobile support, the fleet technicians, we are opening at the end of this year a fleet servicing division. So this will be a hub in-house here at Andover, with a dedicated team of account administrators to manage the key clients. So at the moment, we've got say 2 or 3 members of staff that use the system that we use to manage the fleet work. That will probably double to 6 or 7, led by a new director that's being brought in to head up that division. So we're currently refurbishing some offices here that are in an existing building, and the aim is that we're going to have this call centre to give kind of a real, a real first-class kind of service to those key clients. So that's mainly for customers that have got kind of upwards of I don't know, say 70 to 100 vehicles, so that we can really keep on top of the admin and the invoicing, and making sure that they've got the 24/7 coverage that they need. And then again in Wales, we did plan this year to extend our existing site, but that's grown exponentially, and now we've actually acquired another building altogether. So on the left here, you'll see our existing site, and we were going to literally extend our workshop just sort of on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that there, the bottom part of the site there. But actually, we've now purchased this new site across the road because there's so much demand in that region for the servicing that we're basically going to replicate the service centre that we have in Andover as a light commercial specialist in Newport as well. So we've already got some clients lined up who are champing at the bit to use us over there. So again, it's the demand is there. So that's really exciting that we're able to kind of grow and meet that demand and replicate that kind of successful part of the business over in Newport. So that's going to generate jobs, and it's just it's a really exciting time for the company as well. As the other plans for 2021, we currently have 5 apprentices across the company, and we want to develop that into a more kind of official apprenticeship program. There's a real need for bringing in the younger generation to the motor trade. We seem to have a lot of kind of 35 and overs, and then there seems to be a huge gap in the workforce, and then down to kind of then the under 21s and the apprentices. They just don't seem to be coming through the door. So we want to create some kind of academy style training scheme there to kind of appeal to the younger generation and get them on board. Obviously, continuous investment in technology, which we've always done, but there's always room for improvement there. Things like rolling out iPads in the workshop so that all the technicians can log their time on jobs and place orders for parts and everything digitally, just to cut down on the paper admin. We've already started rolling it out in some buildings, and we've got 2 more buildings to kind of extend that into. And just basically staff development. We need to make sure that all our technicians are at level 3 MVQ or equivalent. The majority of them are, but there's some that are maybe time served technicians, and we want to make sure that they've got the paperwork in place as well. And also we've got a company-wide electric vehicle training plan that we'll be starting to move forward with next year. So EV is really big. There's lots of plans for the government ending the sale of combustion engine vehicles. So it's really important we keep on top of that and that we're prepared. So I think that brings me to the end of my presentation there. And I'll open the floor, Juliet, for any questions.
Thank you, Louise. So I'm going to stop recording and then we'll get into a discussion. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.